Hi and welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff Hall. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. Carrie had a great question. What is a deload week? I've been told by a trainer before that I need to deload in my workouts. They said, go crazy, eat what you want for a week, no exercise, and then come back and we'll have tricked your body and you'll end up stronger when you work out again. I'm not sure I trust this advice. Help! Oh, Carrie. Okay, that sounds fantastic. Like, just go crazy, eat what you want, no exercise, and come back and you'll be stronger than before. Fantastic. A deload is definitely my jam. And a deload week, it is firstly well planned out, and it's a well-planned reduction in exercise intensity and volume. And it's commonly incorporated into training programs to facilitate recovery and prevent overtraining. And this whole concept is particularly relevant in strength training or endurance sports and any physical training kind of routine that involves high intensity or high volume periods. So it's really important. Let's look at the purpose of a deload week and then how you might integrate it because I don't agree with everything your trainer has said. So first of all, the purpose of a deload week is all about recovery. So you've got intense training. It puts a lot of stress on your muscles, a lot of stress on your nervous system and your connective tissues. So deload week allows these systems to recover, to repair, and it's crucial for preventing injuries and that long-term fatigue, that nervous system just shutting down and going, I've got nothing. So then you've got also performance improvement. So by incorporating periods of lighter training, particularly athletes can avoid plateaus, and they can then have the deload week, maintain and even improve performance by allowing the body to adapt to the training load and then coming back. And then you've got the really important thing, which I reckon is amazing, the mental recovery. Continuous high-intensity training can be mentally exhausting. So deload week can also serve as a mental break and help you to stay mentally fresh and just give you motivation. So how then do you implement all of this? So you've got to look at a reduction in intensity or volume. So there are a few ways to structure a deload week. You can reduce weights, reduce your lifting by 40 to 60% of your usual loads, and just maintain the number of repetitions and sets. So just bring the weights down. Or you can reduce volume. That's another way to approach to keep the intensity the same amount of weights lifted, but reduce the volume. So fewer sets and fewer reps. So instead of reducing the weights, you're reducing the reps and the sets. And then you can also reduce frequency. So maybe you train 3-4 times a week. So maybe as a deload week, you just train twice and you're recovering more. And the other way you can do a deload week is by switching out your more intense exercises for less intense exercises. Maybe focusing on different body parts can also bring a break. Maybe you've been really focused on lower body and now you're going to do a bit of core and upper body and just give the lower body a rest. So that's another way of doing it. Timing of deload weeks are really important. So you've got deload weeks are typically scheduled every 3 to 6 weeks depending on the training intensity of I'm talking about like an athlete here. But the frequency can be based on age, experience, your overall physical condition, and also looking at the signs of needing a deload week. So are you overtraining and having decreased performance, persistent fatigue, reduced enthusiasm, motivation? Are all these things happening to you? Then definitely you do need a deload or more recovery. There are some considerations. So you got to look at the specific needs of the individual, and these can be very widely depending on the athlete's needs or the person's goals and the sport they're training for. So what a power lifter might need is very different to a marathon runner, very different to a mum. But, you got to look at what are your needs and what are your goals, and balance those goals. It's important to progress and get the benefit of that recovery. So you want to have your deload weeks very planned and strategic to maximize both. So incorporating deload weeks is really good into your program. I agree with that. And they are key to having long-term progression and health in any kind of regime. If you just want to put a bit of lean muscle on, if you're like, like me, like a mum, just wanting to put a bit of lean muscle on, yes, definitely need deload weeks every now and then. If you're an athlete, yes, absolutely. A week off a stringent diet plan, if you're talking diet now, eat whatever you want, like your trainer said, can boost your metabolism and help. But I'm not too sure of the science of this one. So if you've been in a calorie deficit for a very long time, it can be good for the metabolism and rev it a bit, and bring great psychological relief to just eat more calories. But I think eat whatever you want, in my experience, that can be harmful because you get that kind of binge mentality of the all or nothing attitude where you're either on a diet or a regime, or then you're off the diet doing whatever you want, eating it. You don't want that all or nothing. You want this to be strategically planned. So if you're eating, I don't know, 1,400 calories a day, you might want to increase that to 2,000 calories. But just, up your protein, up your carbs, be a little bit strategic about it. And in my experience, diet breaks do work the best when they're strategic. So you really want to prevent that metabolic slowdown by being on diets for a long period of time anyway, because it can lead to decrease in metabolic rate and that survival mechanism where the body becomes more efficient in using energy and going, oh my gosh, we're in famine, I better slow down everything. And it can affect your hormones. So having a bit of a break from your usual regime with food for a week or so can rebalance levels of important hormones affected by a calorie deficit that you've been in for a very long time. And I'm assuming that this is a long calorie deficit. So such as leptin, which regulates your hunger hormones, and cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So all those things can be recalibrated. And most importantly, I think mental health, like having a bit of psychological relief from a diet break where you if you're on reduced calories, you're going to feel fatigued, you're going to feel exhausted. So having a little break can alleviate that feeling of deprivation and fatigue and improve your mood and well-being. So it's very important that you do this. And it's also very important because it helps your adherence to a diet. So allowing the occasional indulgence or having a week where you're just a little bit more flexible, you're less likely to feel trapped in a diet. And therefore, you're going to be more successful long term because hey, I'm going to go a little hard here with a mini cut. And then in 3 weeks, I'm going to have a diet break. And then I'm going to go back on. And you always have this thing coming where you feel like it's strategic, it's planned, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it. And it's not just like have a week off and eat whatever you want. It's strategically planned. And you're replenishing your energy stores, replenish glycogen stores in muscles. You'd feel really good, feel really strong. It's going to increase your physical performance in everyday activities as well as exercise. And the diet breaks just flood your body with nutrients and make sure all your needs are being met. And it's really, really good. And it reduces that risk of muscle loss, which is really important. So you calorie restriction, especially significant long calorie restriction, can lead to muscle loss. So a diet break can maintain that muscle mass and break that cycle and just make sure you're not losing muscle. So I guess diet breaks are a really good tool and deload weeks are really good tools. But my main message here is make sure that they are strategic, that you're not doing the all or nothing attitude and having that mentality around exercise and food, that the regime that you're originally on isn't too strict, that you need a diet break. If you need a diet break, I think you need to ask yourself the question, why? Why? because maybe you being in such a long-term dieting mentality is not serving you. So that's one thing. Having a deload week from intense training, or maybe you've been going hard. I'm going hard at the moment. I'm trying to increase my muscle mass. So I'm doing 4 strength sessions a week. I'm having a little bit of creatine supplement. I'm having lots of protein. I'm really trying to kick off my 40s by mitigating any perimenopause symptoms and things like that. And I feel like I need a bit of a deload week soon because I've been going hard, and that will just mean going down to 2 sessions a week instead of 4, and concentrating more on core and upper body because I've been doing more lower body. So it's like, it's the way you do it. It doesn't have to be complicated, but there does need to be an overarching plan. It can't be just stop exercising and eat whatever you want, because that is not a plan and it will set you back psychologically. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward. I love having your company. So please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo and let me know what topics and questions you'd love me to answer. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.